Hello and welcome to How We Coach. I'm Tom.
And I'm Jack, and today we are talking about APES coaching drills. Straight out of the gate, this is not about working with any other species. We have to accredit the RFU with this amazing acronym that stands for Active, Purposeful, Enjoyable and Safe.
Today we discuss why we made the change,
How we now use the APES coaching drills,
and the outcomes that we've observed since making this change.
Tom, please start us off with those whys.
In our younger years, our drills used to be a bit hit and miss. In all honesty, some of them, on reflection, were a waste of time.
Looking back, I think both Tom and I had wished that we'd known about the APES acronym earlier because it would have allowed us to avoid these issues.
Children being disengaged or misbehaving because they're in a long queue.
Long pauses if the ball goes out of play.
Children not enjoying the sessions because we were talking too much.
And finally, repetition of the dreaded line,
When can we play a match?
So, how do we use APES coaching drills? To combat this, we now ensure that all of our drills are
Active,
purposeful
enjoyable.
and safe.
We start by making the drills active. When we plan a coaching drill, we try to assess how active it will be and try to minimise or ideally eliminate any unproductive standing around.
We do this by designing drills that instead of having one big game, have lots of mini games within it.
We also try and make sure we've got spare balls by the edge of the drills, so if one ball goes off, there's another one ready to keep the activity going.
Another key consideration is how we can set up the equipment before the children have arrived.
Setting up beforehand also makes sure that the children aren't wasting their time watching you moving cones around in between all of the drills.
John Wooden, the famous UCLA basketball coach, never made his team run laps, but they were notoriously famous for being in great physical condition. So how did he do it?
He designed active training sessions, which included drills and match situations which were all aimed to improve physical fitness.
To John Wooden, every drill was physically demanding and active, whether it be a shooting drill, physically demanding, whether it be a passing drill, physically demanding, and he made sure that things kept to time with his stopwatch and whistle.
Inspired by John Wooden, one of our netball drills requires children to run and touch 2 cones and come back in between every shot that they take. This is also done with a time challenge.
Kids love being timed. Whilst John Wooden expected his players to move very quickly between drills in order to maximise activity and time, we found that with younger children, more frequent breaks are required.
Plus, with the younger children under our supervision, we try not to constantly exhaust them throughout the entire session, but we do keep closely to timings, and that way we maintain a high level of activity throughout. Next up, purposeful.
We focus on having a purpose for each of our drills, and we ask ourselves the 2 following questions.
Is this drill appropriate for their skill set?
And will this drill help them in future matches?
For example, once players are competent passers of the ball, you might then want to add a defender into your drill to make it a bit more like the real game would be.
This makes the drill clearly purposeful because in a real game there will be a lot more pressure on the accuracy and the weight of the pass.
It seems easy, but we've been caught out before in the past.
Indeed we have. We ran a group of training sessions where we were using a different size ball to the ones we'd be using in a match.
However, sometimes we do change things to make it harder than the real game on purpose. For example, we sometimes might make the pitch smaller to put more pressure on people's touch and pass.
When we do this, we make sure to explain to our teams the exact reasoning behind it. So we might say something like, if you can touch and pass the ball in this small area, when it comes to a big game, you'll definitely be able to do it then.
For social skills such as teamwork or communication, sometimes we get quite creative and totally change the game.
For example, we had a team of tag rugby players in the past that were comprised of a group of individuals and they weren't able to appreciate effective communication.
We got them to talk and pass by playing mini netball matches instead.
In netball, you cannot run with the ball, and this rule made it very clear to the team how important communication actually is, because without it, they were not able to pass or receive the ball.
Using this drill, accompanied by the coach's explanation, highlighted the purpose and importance of communication within the team.
As well as making drills active and purposeful, we try and make them enjoyable as well.
We try to ensure that our drills don't drag on for too long and also to not repeat the same drills week on week. We at least, if we're going to do that, make tweaks to the drills to make them interesting.
We know that our most effective drills rely on two different types of motivation. The first being intrinsic and the second being extrinsic. Our definitions are in line with those of Richard Ryan's and Edward Deci's.
Extrinsic motivation means that people are motivated by things like stickers or trophies, whereas intrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from within that person.
We have found that intrinsic motivation is the more sustainable incentivizer for children in the long term.
To utilise intrinsic motivation, we include personalised scoring systems in our drills.
Achieving a score for a child in a drill is really important because later on it allows them to try and improve their own score.
This makes it fun and also aligns with our ethos of children doing their best instead of comparing their score to someone else's.
For example, we may structure a passing drill like this. We give the children 1 minute to see how many passes they can do. We then give them 5 minutes to practice, and then we come back to that 1 minute at the end and see if they can improve their own score.
Drills that are intrinsically motivating need to be carefully designed because you need to make sure that you have a balance of skill but also challenge within those drills.
Children in these drills can experience a sense of timelessness.
Or, as psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi would say, they enter a flow state, which is a bit like being in the zone.
He said,
I think you mean Mihai Csikszentmihalyi said,
him, that when the skill level and challenge are perfectly met, your ego falls away and you are completely immersed in the challenge, being fully intrinsically motivated.
He explained,
I think you mean that Hungarian-American born psychologist,
Oh yes,
that guy.
Mihai Csikszentmihalyi explained that if children are not challenged enough, they can fall into a state of boredom, whereas if they are challenged too much, they could actually go into a state of anxiety.
These drills are certainly harder to create, but we find that when we get them right, they're amazing.
We found this to work most effectively by either grouping children of a similar level of attainment
or by mixed ability. However, if we do it via mixed ability, we make sure to have personalised challenges for each child.
Alternatively, we can sometimes use extrinsic motivation to make things enjoyable, such as dangling a carrot like a reward when they have completed a challenge.
We don't threaten the children with punishments like, if you don't do this, you'll have to do a lap. Instead, we incentivise them to do well by saying something like, if you do this amount of passes, the coaches will do a silly dance.
This way, they are motivated by the prospect of winning rather than driven by the fear of failure.
Some examples of extrinsic rewards that we have used in the past include trophies, certificates, or even stickers.
The type of reward you use does make a difference depending on the age groups that you are working with in our experience. And also, when children are a bit lower motivation, like at the end of the season, that's when the extrinsic motivation is really useful.
The way you deliver your explanations and the way you package your extrinsic rewards is really important too. We have found in the past that enthusiasm is infectious, and there's a very big difference between at the end of the session, someone's going to get a sticker versus everyone come in, listen. At the end of the session, somebody is going to get a sticker.
Just like the San Francisco 49ers coach Bill Walsh once explained, in all situations, enthusiasm for the subject matter is what powers the communication connection to those you teach.
And finally, safe. Safety is always our number one priority as coaches. There is no question about that. We wanted to put it at the start of the acronym, however, it really did not work very well.
We make sure that we don't take safety for granted. We know now through experience that no 2 days are the same.
This starts with something as simple as the ground you are standing on. Is it icy, for example? Is the area clear? Are there any holes in the ground?
This continues to the weather as well. Is it snowing or is it unbearably hot? These things make a difference.
These things impact how many drinks breaks you will need, how physically demanding the drills are, or how long the drills will last for.
Ahead of time, we also like to ensure that our equipment is ready for use. For example, is the goal secured in the ground properly?
In our coaching sessions, we also like to establish rules to ensure safety too, and we make sure to explain exactly why we do this.
For example, we could say, Today, we're not going to be lifting our hockey sticks above our waist height because in previous sessions, when we've had people who are new to the sport, we had some injuries. So we're going to have a 2 strikes and you're out policy. If you have something like this, you can have a very simple 2 strikes and then 2 minutes off the pitch to really highlight that rule.
This ensures safety for all of the group. Something that we try to ensure runs through all of our coaching sessions is a higher ratio of adults to children.
More adults means more safety. However, if we are coaching alone, we need to make sure that we are careful with our body position to make sure that we are always viewing the children under our supervision.
We're now going to move on to our outcomes.
Now, using APES coaching drills, we find that the children are more excited and even turn up early to our training sessions to really make the most of the time we have together.
With a clear purpose to our coaching sessions, we find that the children get more out of them and then we are better prepared for the matches when they come around.
We've noticed that the children are much more motivated and also excited to come and do their best.
As a result, enjoyment levels have generally just been higher. And the one key outcome that we definitely love to see is the reduction in times we're asked, "When can we play a match?"
Nowadays, we barely hear it at all.
There are a lot of great resources which we've put links to in the description below.
We also dive deeper into this topic on our podcast, Team Talk with Tom and Jack.
Check it out.
We look forward to our next upload, which will be about leadership, where we once again try and provide you with as much value as possible.
We really do hope you enjoyed this week's episode on APES coaching drills. All the links to our socials are in the description below, and I hope you do all of those YouTube shenanigans with liking and subscribing.
I've been Tom.
And I've been Jack.
And this was How We Coach.